Hey guys, I'm Debbie.
And I'm Jacob.
And today we want to show you how to do garter belts.
Garter Belts is a more advanced washing machine. It was one that I learned after learning pretty much all of the other elementary washing machines. It's a very beautiful washing machine, and it's difficult, and that's why we like it. Fortunately, we can teach it to you in 3 steps. We're going to teach it you an easy, a medium, and a hard way.
The first way we want to show you how is garter belt with hands, and then the second way will be a garter belt with a side star, and the third way is called ballerina because you don't use hands at all. Alright, first we're going to practice bird side stars. They're in a lot of washing machines, so we're going to start doing the drills for these here. So I drop a leg down, and then Jacob rotates me and I lift my top leg up high. I have most of the weight in my hip, and then maybe like 10 or 15% of weight is in my hand, so I'm not like down here dumping my weight. I'm pushing myself up nice and high so that most of the weight is here in this hip. And then we can practice both sides. And I want to try to see your top hip rolled back like this. A lot of side stars, people will hold them down here and they kind of point towards the ground, but think about rolling your top hip back and make a line from toe to toe. That way you know your body is straight and you're not in an arch. Usually people hold side stars kind of back here like this, and I tell them, can you see your toes? And then when I say that, they bring their body forward or they bring their legs forward, and then they're in a straight line.
You want to grab your partner's feet right around in the middle. It's also called Lego grip. It looks just like this. My elbows are in really close to my sides. And what are you doing, Debbie?
I'm lifting my toes up so that most of the weight is in my heels. I definitely don't want to put my toes down because that can really crank his wrists back, and I don't want to hurt his wrists.
I want to show you a close-up of a foot-to-hand grip. Or sorry, this is a reverse foot-to-hand grip. I have to constantly remind myself and other people that this pose is kind of backwards. You would think that if you're facing your flyer, it's regular foot-to-hand, but this is reverse. And you can see the feet. Debbie has her toes slightly pulled up, and that protects my wrists. And my hands are right around the middle of her feet. We're going to start on some real garter belts now. If you've been watching our Patreon channel, we've already taught how to do Big Lemois. And it starts like Big Lemois, fortunately enough. So if you don't know Big Lemois, go back to the Big Lemois lesson. So we turn to side star. And you grab underside of the foot here, grab around her toes. And then I have to reach my leg way over here to her thut. She brings her foot down, but I'm not going to grab her foot. I'm going to reach my hand up here. And then I extend my foot out like so, and she's going to reach her hand to my hand in a hand-to-hand grip. And then we go back to this inside reverse side star. Then I'm going to reach my foot over again to her thut. She sits up. And that's basically a garter belt. That was a really easy way to do it.
Okay, so flyers, you're probably going to want to wear pants for this washing machine. It can really like rub a lot right here and on this side too. So pants will really help you out in this one. So first we'll do a side star. And then in this part right here, Jacob's going to pull on my foot to help me sit up. And then we balance here, and it is a little weird to hang out here. You know, it's a little awkward because I don't have something on this side holding me up. But Jacob's holding my foot. I can even push into his hand like I'm stepping on the ground.
Yeah, I keep my elbow on the ground, and that makes a firm foundation for her to move around.
So I'm going to try to turn my hips the way I'm going to turn, and I'm going to reach down for his hand. So I'm turning this way and then leaning forward into his hand. And then to sit up, I'm just going to push out of his hand and pull up. I'm able to sit up because he's pulling on my foot. just like in Big Lemois. So I turn my hips and I reach for his hand.
Why don't we do 3 of these? I keep my arms straight. It looks like Debbie does too. Okay, I'm gonna stop.
Wait, let's do one more. So, I am putting some weight in his hand, but most of the weight, again, it's gonna be in my hip. So I'm reaching for his hand, but still, like, almost all of the weight is in my hip.
I'm gonna take a minute to show you exactly where I put my feet on Debbie, because this is important. Here, let's go around to a side star. And you have to try really hard not to put your foot in your flyer's crotch. It's really easy to do this, and you don't want to do that. I have to get my foot far enough this way that it will not slide to her crotch. Because this move is not very comfortable. If Debbie does this 5 times or so, it's kind of excruciating. So as a base, I have to make this as comfortable as possible. And you do that by not putting your foot on your flyer's crotch. And you can see I'm just a bit to the side.
Should we go around?
Yeah, let's go around a couple times. That looks cool. Okay. We're going to show you some more views from the side. This is still the first step. This is garter belt with base hand. Okay. We're gonna do level 2 now, and that's garter belts with no base hands, and Debbie's gonna put her hands on my leg like a side star. Everything else is basically the same.
You might be confused on which leg to put your hand on. It's the side star you're turning into, so not the foot that you're sitting on, but the foot that's stepping. This can feel like a bit of a dive down, like I'm turning and diving down, but the only reason I'm not diving that way is because I'm pushing into my foot and Jacob has his elbow on the ground, so it's kind of like I'm stepping on the ground. I can do this really slow. That way it's not like you're just diving and going for it.
Yeah, and I feel the same thing when Debbie does this part which dives down. I can feel her foot pressing into my hand, and it gives us more control.
I mean, I can make this fast or slow, but I'm trying to make it slow at first because it's really hard at first, so take your time.
Yeah, it looks pretty when it's slow anyway.
Try both sides if you're getting tired. Try your other side.
Yeah, Debbie's one side is starting to get worn out, so we gotta switch.
Good. Let's switch. Okay.
I'd like to point out another trick that I do with my feet. My foot has to be pushed far enough forward for this wrap to work. All throughout my acro teaching career, I'm always telling bases you need to get your foot farther forward in all kinds of moves, and this is one of them. Debbie is going to roll forwards, and these moves are only going to work if my feet are far enough forward. Like in this part, I have to reach a little bit far forward with my foot, and she'll roll around. And then I have to reach far forward. Here, can you lean back? Mm-hmm. In this step here, I have to know where to put my foot so it's in the right place when she turns. Because if I don't, I just won't have enough foot for her to roll onto. Let me show you what happens if I don't have enough foot. Wait, go around. So if I don't have enough there, she can roll off. And here too, if she doesn't have enough foot, she'll roll off there, and I'm not even going to make her roll off that way because she'll fall on her face.
This is the most likely of the few that will happen, is the foot isn't far enough this way, and then you can't do the next step. You just can't do it. You have to step and replace your foot before you do this roll.
And you'll have to do some experimenting, because you're inevitably going to be a different size than me and Debbie, so this is something you have to work out for yourselves. Bases have to get their feet in just the right place, and you can only get that through experimentation.
Okay.
We'll quickly show you Garter Belt level 2 from the side. Not grabbing my hand anymore. Her hand goes on my leg. Okay, I'll let you down. Alright, now it's time for level 3 Garter Belts, which are called ballerinas. Starts just the same. And Debbie's not going to touch my leg. Isn't that pretty? And now she's holding her arms up like a ballerina.
Well, that makes it harder.
Yeah, do the other way.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So this part, he lets my foot turn, and then here, he's squeezing my foot and helping me sit up.
Yeah, and I noticed something that I do. When she does the dive down part, I push her foot back a little bit like this, and then as she comes back, I bring my foot back like this.
That's super helpful for me.
Let's try to watch that. I push away, and then I bring it a bit forward. It's subtle. My hand only goes back and forth like this, but it helps Debbie a lot.
Yeah, it really does. If you watch in slow motion here, you can see. So when I'm diving out, he pushes my leg behind me here. Then I'm rotating more and more and more, and here he brings my leg in front of me slightly so that I can sit up.
Yeah. Do you have endurance for one more tip?
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to go halfway through this, and I want to say something I'm doing. So when you do this part, there's a tendency for the flyer to slip off, because I'm holding her on my foot by just the edge of my foot here. Most of her weight is right there. And I can keep her on my foot by using my hand to press this way. I'm holding onto her foot, and I push her this way so she doesn't slide that way.
Cool. Okay, and one more tip for flyers. For this turn, I'm going to really turn my hips this way, and then I'm going to reach this way as far as I can. I'm reaching that way, and then I'm sitting up. So here I'm reaching, and I'm sitting up, and I'm keeping my legs straight and flexed like the whole time. I'm squeezing this leg so hard. If I'm like loose and floppy with this leg and I try to sit up, it won't happen. So you have to keep that leg really tight and use it like a lever to sit up and to do your turn. Okay, so for any of these 3 versions of Garter Belt, I'm doing the same thing with my hips each turn. I'm leading this turn with my hips, so I'm getting ready to turn this way, so I'm turning my hips this way, and then I'm trying to offer this hip. Like this hip should be the first thing to hit Jacob. Like, so I push my feet back, I push my chest back, and it's my hip that sticks out.
Yeah, lead with the hips.
You don't want to give them a hip that's like crunched up and all your skin is folded. Like that just doesn't feel good at all. So try to lead with your hip, push your hip out. Especially for the ballerina kind, like you have to stretch everything out. So I stretch out this way.
Yep, she gives me her hip first. And then it's a nice, beautiful ballerina. We're going to show you from the side, too. Yeah, this side.
Oh, okay.
Okay, watch your hips here. Do you see her leading with her hips? Okay, I'm gonna let Debbie down, give her hips a break.
That's a lot of garter belts.
Yeah.
We really
Good job,
hope...
hips.
Thank you. We really hope that all these tips can help you guys. We just have done so many and we know exactly what's hard and where it goes wrong, especially when you're first learning them. So I hope that these tips can help you guys.
Yeah, I hope you love the garter belts and the ballerina. You can always ask more questions on Patreon or Facebook. All right, go have fun.